here, and the bigger question around the parliamentary fire accused. Is the man accused of setting Parliament alight fit to stand trial? The court has referred Zandile Mafe for psychiatric evaluation. Meanwhile, the state has added terrorism to the string of charges Mafe faces. The fire, which gutted parts of the National Assembly, broke out on the 2nd of January, and it was hard to contain. It took a number of days. Mafe's case has been postponed until the 11th of February. He will remain in custody until then. Now, our reporter Ayesha Ismail is following that story, and she joins me now. Hello, Ayesha. So Zandile Mafe, he's facing an added charge. Tell us why terrorism has been added.
Well, Sally, you will recall when we spoke last week, the state did indicate that they were intending to add more charges to the charge sheet. And today we heard that that added charge was a charge of terrorism. Now, also, Advocate Zandile Mafe, who joined the defense team today, acting on behalf of Zandile Mafe, said that he was also surprised when this charge was sprung on him, as he said this morning. But let's take a listen to what the spokesperson for the National Prosecuting Authority, Eric Ntabazalila, said about why the terrorism charge was added.
As we have indicated earlier, that the investigation is continuing and more charges are likely to be added. We did that. Now, everything and whatever else happens after this will depend on the report that comes from Falkenberg Hospital after the observation. It does not change the fact that he committed the crimes. It does not change the fact that there are charges like he's supposed to be facing. It's just that there is also this other concern, that is this issue that has been raised of him suffering from paranoid schizophrenia. So that's why we asked for him to be. So remember, earlier we said, last week we said we are charging him with Schedule 5. After we viewed a footage of his presence in Parliament and what happened, we decided to change the schedule to Schedule 6 to that of a Terrorism Act with using explosives to destroy Parliament. So we changed after that observation of the footage.
All right, so if I'm understanding the NPA correctly, it's because he was seen carrying a device that could have caused an explosion. Is that what led to the terrorism charge?
Indeed, and you would have heard Eric Ntabazalila also talking and referring to CCTV footage, which of course we've not had sight of yet. That footage is still in the hands of the Hawks and the investigating team. So that has not been presented before court yet, because we've not even reached the the position in court where Zandile Mafe was able to apply for bail. Now, we heard this morning that his advocate Zandile Mafe saying that he came to court intending to apply for bail, and he was surprised when this added charge of terrorism was included in the charge sheet. But another aspect that also came up, Sally, was the mental capacity of Zandile Mafe. We heard from the state that on the 3rd of January he was assessed by a district surgeon, and the district surgeon found him to be suffering from paranoid schizophrenia, and for that reason the district surgeon decided that advised that he be sent for mental observation to a psychiatric hospital. But let's take a listen to what his attorney Luvuyo Godla had to say, because he completely disagrees with the state.
My client, in closing, he made it very clear that there is nothing wrong with him. He is mentally able. He has been so, and he does not have any problem, and he does not understand why the state is raising that. And remember, if the state is raising that, why would they add charges only today to someone they suspect of mental incapacity? It does not make sense. State is acting out of spite. We do not know why they are doing this.
It's quite strange that the lawyer is convinced that his client is absolutely fine when a surgeon has assessed him, a district surgeon has assessed him to have a mental illness. We know, of course, that paranoid schizophrenia brings with it delusions and firm belief about certain things that are not at all true. And depending on whether a person is in a psychotic break or not, they can appear quite rational. But what do you make of Mafe's lawyer saying that the state is acting out of spite and it doesn't make sense to add these extra charges of terrorism if they believe the client is mentally unwell?
It's a difficult question, Sally, because on the one hand, we have a district surgeon who assessed Zandile Mafe on the 3rd of January and came up with that, or kind of came to that conclusion. On the other hand, we have Zandile Mafe's defense team saying, now, if you were aware of the fact that my client suffered from paranoid schizophrenia, why did you add a charge of terrorism today, knowing that you were going to send my client to a mental institution for a psychiatric evaluation? They say that it doesn't add up. The other thing that also came out, Sally, is that Advocate Zandile Mafe said that Zandile Mafe said that if he's not released on bail, and if he's not been given an opportunity to apply for bail, he will embark on a hunger strike with immediate effect. And after the court proceedings today, I did ask Mr. Godla about this again, and he confirmed that as of today, Zandile Mafe will be refusing any food given to him while he is awaiting trial. And also again confirmed that his client is by his full senses, he is compos mentis, and that there is nothing wrong with his client's mental capacity.
I think interesting, Ayesha, if his client is in fact suffering from a mental condition such as paranoid schizophrenia, he is vulnerable in a prison setting. Do you have any information about whether he's being held on his own so that he isn't perhaps vulnerable to attack from others, or perhaps dangerous to others, if he indeed is in the middle of a sort of psychotic break, even though his lawyers suggest he's not? The surgeons are suggesting there's a mental problem.
Sally, what we heard was that he will be held at Pollsmoor Prison, and that Valkenburg Hospital has indicated that they will try and find a bed for him as a matter of urgency. Now, we know there are there's a backlog, and there normally we've over the years there's been a backlog with regards to beds at Valkenburg Psychiatric Hospital. But the state did inform the court that they will try and find a bed for Mr. Mafe as soon as possible.
Oh, let's hope so. Thank you so much for that update on the man accused of setting the parliamentary fire. That's our reporter in Cape Town, Ayesha Ismail. Now,